Good evening and welcome to AZ Votes Candidates in Conversation, a special edition of Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Tonight, we continue our Candidates in Conversation with Democratic candidates running for Arizona's 8th Congressional District, which covers the North and Northwest Valley, including parts of Phoenix, New River, Sun City West, Peoria, and Anthem. Candidates in Conversation is not a formal debate. It's an open exchange of ideas, an opportunity for give and take between candidates for one of Arizona's most important offices. Interjections and the occasional interruption, they are allowed, provided that all sides get a fair shake, and we'll do our best to see that that happens. Joining us now for tonight's discussion in alphabetical order, Raymond Keeler, an Army veteran and software engineer, and Bernadette Green Placentia, a retired owner of a small fleet trucking company. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Real quickly, Ray, we'll start with you. Do you live in this district?
Yes, I do.
Is your home address here?
Yes, it is.
Do you live in this district, Bernadette?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Where do you live?
About a mile and a half south of there after 2023.
Okay. Do you think that makes a difference at all?
I don't. My daughter went to school in the district. My business was in the district. I've lived there for years.
She can't vote in the district.
Thank you. Well, let's start with you then. As far as what Democrats in this district want, what do you think Democrats in this particular congressional district want to see?
They want lower prices, health care that's lower, ICE to get out of the district. They want to have lower groceries, not have a war and gas prices going up. They want safety for their children, and I plan to do that for Arizona
Bernadette,
Congressional District 8.
As far as Democrats in this district, what are they looking for?
Well, I think first they want somebody that's a real Democrat, not somebody that's voted in a Republican primary for the last 16 years and just changed the party.
That's not true.
Well, we have your van
Well,
record.
hold on a second.
We have your van
Finish your
record.
thought.
It is important that Democrats who've been saying we need to win back the working class, they start seeing a working class candidate that understands the needs of the people within the district. Having somebody that recognizes those problems, shares those interests, that's going to matter to those folks.
Can a candidate be too progressive in this particular district?
I don't think so. I spent the first 7 or 8 months traveling, just talking to independents and asking them, hey, what is it you care about? And it didn't break down on ideological lines. It was things that matter to me: Social Security, VA, economy, housing. And those were sometimes progressive districts, or issues, and sometimes they were just, the kitchen table issues that we all talk about.
Can you be too progressive?
There's two sides of it. Yes, you can, and they're more moderates. You can be that as well. There's two different wings of the Democratic Party. I've talked with both of them regularly.
I think you're quoted as saying, as a Democrat, you would prioritize common sense. That's a curious way to put it there. What are you getting at?
Common sense. The vast majority of people want to have the bickering stopped. She brought up that I'd voted in the Republican primaries. That's true. As a registered independent, as a no preference person.
Right. But you pulled a Republican ticket going all the way back for the last 16
because
years.
As an independent, I could vote against somebody that was MAGA supported. I am not supporting MAGA in any way, shape, or form. And as an independent, I am issue-oriented, not picking a party completely on one side.
Well, you said as an independent, you're running in a Democratic primary.
Right. I am running as a Democrat because I am the best qualified to get independents as well as Democrats to beat the Republicans. Of the 3 primary areas we have, we have the Democrats with the least amount, independents second, and Republicans with the most of them. We need to get independents, with more independents voting with Democrats, to get Abraham Hamadeh out.
What do you make of that?
I believe that's absolutely true. The numbers are 116 Democrats, 160 independents, 202,000 Republicans. The thing is, Ray, that when you use those numbers, you also use that as your justification for running as a Democrat, because it had the lowest signature threshold, because we do have the lowest number of registered voters. And I just don't think that's a good reason to run as a Democrat, which is, we've got you on video. But anyway, the person that's going to be able to connect to those folks is the one that can go across, that's worked in an industry with those people, and that they believe, hey, Midwestern raised, lifelong gun owner, working class, blue collar. You speak my language.
Republican for 30 some odd years.
Right.
Independent for 18 years.
Now 19.
Okay, 19, thank
Right.
you. And you're now a Democrat. Why should
Yes.
Democrats in this district trust you?
Oh, absolutely, they should trust me. I helped Harel Tipernini in 2022. Then I helped Greg Whitten on his campaign. Then I helped sign up other Democrats and was down at the motor vehicle park talking to Democrats, Republicans, and independents, learning out both sides. I am where the Democrat Party needs to go to help to get them in.
I just heard you refer to it as a Democrat Party. That's a
Democratic
Republican
Party.
phrase.
Yeah,
De-
Democratic Party.
Democratic Party, yeah.
Right.
Respond, please.
I've been donating to the Democratic Party since I was 28 after I had a life-saving abortion and realized that that right was brought to me courtesy of women like my mother at RN and the Democratic Party. I collected enough signatures for Prop 139, which, just in case you don't know, that's what codified a woman's rights to have an abortion here in Arizona's
Arizona.
Constitution, that I got an award for it. I'm not a come lately. Democrats want to know somebody's been a Democrat and been fighting for their democratic policies their entire life. Not that they couldn't remember whether or not they supported Reagan wanting to put people on an island who had AIDS.
Respond, please.
You run your campaigns on integrity. You have Federal Election Commission numbers from your first quarter that was put out late. It shows that you earned $123,000 or received in receipts. You have $179,000 in cash available. That's $56,000 more than you have that you got in. I checked. Then I checked with someone that's an accountant, very familiar with the Federal Election Commission, and he agrees. So I'm talking to the Democrat Watch Committee meeting. They're watching this now and saying, this is integrity. Let's continue on integrity. You've got...
Let her respond to what you said
let's
so
do
far.
that.
Well, I have a
179,000 to
treasurer.
123.
Okay, I have a treasurer, so I guess we'll get with him on where there's a disparity. How about integrity, Ray?
Yeah, let's-
integrity. You told
Good.
everybody that I had
Let's talk integrity. You have AI.
Hold on. What were you getting at?
that you told folks that, I had said something different than what you said. We have you on video telling Democrats, I only ran as a Democrat because I needed a major party and it was the lower signature threshold. That is exactly what you said. You were not a Democrat. You haven't been a Democrat.
Why did you say that? I saw the video as well. Why did you say that?
I ran as a Democrat because it's more than 3 times the signatures needed to get on a petition to get on the ballot. My goal is to beat Abraham Hamadeh because I want him out.
Nowhere in
We
there
want
does
him
he
out.
say,
You're
I ran as a
interrupting.
Democrat because those are my values. It's because it was easier for you.
No.
That's what you said. Stand up, have your integrity.
Let's do integrity on this.
Okay.
Come on. It takes 4,600 petitions in congressional
But
districts.
if you- if
As
that's
you're an
what you believe
independent-
in-
Hold on, please, let him finish.
As an independent, it takes 1,700 because of the numbers of Republicans out there. It takes 1,335 as a Democrat. I needed since I started in December, I needed less signatures to be there, and my values are Democratic, looking through it. I have position statements that are all down the Democratic line.
Now-
However, I'm issues-driven.
Please respond, and then I want to get to some issues here. because
Why did you wait so long to jump in? Why don't you tell them why you said that? Because you waited for me to clear the field of 7 other people, which is fine.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're
Lead,
not here,
follow,
but
or
okay.
stay out of the way. I was able to stay out of the way
Okay.
until mid-December. Until mid-December, I couldn't stay out of the way because they were not getting anything done because of the resumes.
Okay, I
wow.
think that right now, if I were a Democrat in that district, I would say, let's move on. So we're going to move on, and we're going
Okay.
to start with your ideas regarding health care and making health care affordable. You say that there are some brilliant solutions out there to make health care affordable. That was your word was brilliant. What are they?
Well, the first one is to immediately allow companies that make sure that they have to compete for Medicare, Medicaid, for the VA, for any type of thing. They immediately have to compete and lower the prices of prescription drugs. My husband and I should not be going to Mexico to buy his diabetic medication. My mom should not have been rationing her insulin and dying because she couldn't access that. We also need to strengthen and expand the ACA. And we also, seriously, I think that a lot of folks are struggling with when we canceled the subsidies. We're spending, what, 200, 300 billion already on this war. Now, if we shifted that back to the subsidies to help lower the cost, I mean, so many people, including myself, got kicked off the ACA because we couldn't afford it. So we have got to make healthcare affordable for everybody in this country.
How do you make health care affordable?
Number one is you make generic drugs, all drugs negotiable by the government with the pharmaceutical companies. Number two, you promote generic drugs as much as possible. Why? Because the patent has expired. Those are substantially less. The third thing is for having the pharmaceutical benefit managers who own the entire food chain up there with pharmaceuticals publicize their costs in each major section of their development process. We are paying 3 times as much as other first world countries and still having worse results.
Something specific in the Trump bill, he raised the minimum age, the maximum age, I should say, for Medicaid work requirements from 54 to 65. Okay, what did you think about that for Medicaid, raising work requirements? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it is, in part because the age 65, when New Social Security, Medicaid's attached to that or related to it, started in the 1930s, and that was the half up and half below of people dying. Now it's much higher.
Maximum age for work requirements for Medicaid from 54 to 65. Good thing or bad thing?
It's a bad thing. A lot of people lost coverage. A lot of people cannot work or can't meet that threshold. You know, they can't work full time. They don't have coverage through their employer. That was their lifeline. Not unlike SNAP. You know, 400,000 Arizonans just lost access to SNAP. When you start cutting off these programs, give me a break on the fraud and abuse. It's a very, very low percentage. People need these programs. My family, other families, they've all used them in the past. This just makes it harder.
Respond.
Let's talk about SNAP, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Nutritional is the second letter. I don't think SNAP should have Coke and chips at a Circle K beyond the list. That should be reduced from that. When the government shut down in October, that was talked about by the Republicans primary, and I agree with them because it's not candy bars in a store. Arizona does not have that.
Okay, do you want to respond to that at all?
So we're not, as Democrats, we don't want them to go into our bedroom, but we want them to go into our grocery cart. Gotcha.
All right, let's talk about Medicare and Social Security, for that matter. Solvency there. What do you do to make sure that people who are depending on these things are going to get these things?
Number one thing with Social Security is not to have it privatized. Can you picture all the people that will be predating on the older people to say, yes, invest your money here and watch it. I'll make it great for you. Yeah, right. I have a stepmother who was being predated on by her caregiver, and I didn't know that the Maricopa County has an entire department on financial senior abuse. I didn't know that happened. I met them.
Okay, but I'm talking about solvency here for Medicare and for Social Security. I'll get back to you in a second there, but I want to get your response.
So we do need to, I know it's a bad word, we need to increase that tax. We need to increase Medicare tax. We have to be able to fund it. Also, all these folks that may be undocumented or maybe they're in that interim stage, a lot of them are contributing. We need to get them into the system so that they can fully contribute. Right now, Social Security is going to run out, I think, in 2030, 2032, depending on what it is. And I do agree with Ray. We cannot privatize it. We've all seen the roller coaster that people's nest eggs going on with, you know.
So what is your message to, let's say, younger folks right now who don't think that Social Security and Medicare are even going to be around when they reach the age?
They have valid concerns over that.
I have a concern over that.
Okay, but what's your message to them? I agree with you, and that's it?
They have been saying, they being the government, that Social Security is going to run out of money, and they keep making adjustments on it, so it remains an issue. As it gets farther and farther along, they keep saying we're making adjustments to it. So the issue is there, but it's never solved.
Okay, your message would be what to some of these younger
Let's
folks?
take proactive action to make sure and ensure that that lifeline is there. You're paying into it. That's not, that's their money, and they're paying into it even if they're 18, 20, 25 working at Burger King. They're paying into Social Security. They need to be able to get it when they retire.
Let's talk about the Trump bill, the big beautiful bill, if you will. You would have voted on it if you had been in Congress. I would imagine you would have voted against it.
Against.
No.
But the tax cuts, the president says, and Republicans agree, that the tax cuts are needed to incentivize the economy, to give a boost, to get things moving. Your thoughts?
Trickle-down economics has not shown that it has worked. That is why the disparity of the extreme wealthy has grown exponentially, and the working class, middle class, keeps falling. So obviously that's not working. He did this in 2019, 2018, I guess, is when it actually took effect. And what we saw was they banked that money, these big corporations that got that big tax cut, then COVID hit, and they still also needed taxpayers to give them a bailout. They don't pass those benefits on to us. It's ridiculous. And, the flat tax, we can go through all this stuff. I know taxes are a bad word, but this is how we fund things and get things built in this country.
The idea of cutting taxes to move the economy. Your thoughts?
We are already in a deficit nationally. Cutting taxes doesn't make it better. Being more efficient with the work that's being done and not spending in the wrong pace makes it better.
To that end, is there a better way to create jobs, to raise wages, and to correct the U.S. fiscal imbalance? Are there better ways?
Oh, yes.
And they are?
Inflation, most of it comes in two different categories. The Iran war and gas prices going up. The other part is blanket tariffs. Targeted tariffs can be used and done efficiently. Blanket tariffs are basically, we are paying taxes. It's estimated that 50% of the inflation now is due to tariffs. What's worse is the tariffs that we are paying, not the foreigners, is going into the general fund, and Trump is using that, and Hamadeh is supporting him to. You're trying. Okay.
I'm trying to get an answer.
Yeah.
To, are there ways? I mean,
Yes, there are. Let's go from blanket tariffs to targeted tariffs.
Okay. Are there ways to create jobs, raise wages? I mean, Republicans have their way. They say cut taxes and let the upper wage earners and businesses do their thing. What do you say?
I think we need to raise the minimum wage so that families can at least start affording what the cost is. And then, I worked in supply chain logistics for 27 years. We are spending so much on transportation costs and other things. It is a supply and demand thing, whether it be oil, whether it be coffee or groceries, and all that increase in the rising cost of products is adding to the inflation. The Iran war just kicked everything into high gear with, the gas prices and stuff, which...
I also read, I saw a quote where you say you fervently, your word, you fervently support unions.
Yes.
Explain.
So I am the daughter of a union railroader. And I'll just say again, when you were asked about that, you could not remember if you were okay with Reagan breaking the union railroads.
Oh, I did say that I was against that.
No, you said you couldn't remember, but that's all right. The
No.
reason is because
hold
the
on.
unions are what gave us the 40-hour work week. The unions engaged us into having breaks and health care. Unions build up the average American worker. They make every household stronger. And I would like to expand union membership across the map.
Respond to the Reagan comment.
Respond to the Reagan comment. I have worked as an avionics software engineer for the last 30 plus years, making planes fly and not crash. When he talked about cutting out the air traffic controllers in that union, I was totally against that because it shut down the airports.
Then where did you get that?
We have the video when you were asked if you supported Reagan breaking the unions in the early 90s. You said, I was raised as a Republican and I wasn't really involved in politics and I don't remember. And we have enough with old men who have cognitive
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Blow it out your.
Really?
All right, hold on.
Sorry.
Let's kind of get the plane back in the air here. Regarding unions and your fervent support of unions, do you think Democratic voters, do you think the district in general feels as enthusiastic about unions as you do?
I think, TSMC hired a lot of union workers. And as they see the benefits of the unions, including those folks that got kicked off of the ACA because they lost the subsidies, if they had a union job, they probably would have had somebody advocating for them to keep benefits or to get, a higher cost of living, increased wage. So as those benefits become more apparent, then yes, I think union membership will expand.
What do you think about this district and the idea of supporting unions?
I believe that's good in certain areas.
Okay, but so you think certain areas of the district support unions and certain areas don't? I'm just trying to get a figure, an impression of the district and how they feel about labor.
Let's go down that. There's a fire union, there's a police union, there's a teachers union, and other unions as well. I have only worked in one union plant. It was in Kansas. Union workers are excellent at what they're doing. This is a right-to-work state. We need to increase unions.
Okay, all right, we got to get moving here because we're running out of time.
There's only one of us that the unions are endorsing, so.
Okay, all right. Ray, I want to start with you on this, on the border security. We got to keep it brief because we're running out of time. The idea of border security from the Biden administration, a Democratic administration, to what we're seeing now with the Trump administration. What are we seeing? What's different?
I started in December. In January, I was down at the border south of Fort Huachuca because I knew where the border wall stopped because a congressman in a border state needs to know where the wall was. I needed what had happened in the last 16 months since I was down there. Nothing had changed. Nothing has changed in that area for 16 years. We need a border. If the administration says there are no illegal aliens coming across the border, then why are we increasing ICE? Why are we basically? Why are we continuing building the wall?
What do you think about the difference between the last administration, a Democratic administration, and border security and what we're seeing right now? Because Republicans will say it's a big improvement.
So we do have less folks coming in, obviously. There was a huge buildup because of COVID, and then they were forced to the Remain in Mexico policy. By the way, ICE doesn't handle the border. That's Border Patrol. The ICE that we're seeing, that's up here. I think that one of the bigger issues is we've got to figure out a way to transition the folks that are already here. I don't have a problem. If they have a criminal record, send them back. But that's not who we're detaining right now. My Mexican-American husband and my Chinese daughter are carrying their passport. This is a problem. So there is a way that we can secure our border without sacrificing our humanity.
And regarding ICE, should it be abolished? Is it a rogue agency?
No, but it needs to be reformed. I am not a defund ICE. I am a reform the heck out of it.
What do you think about ICE?
It needs to be reduced to its original objectives. They don't have the training, and it would be hugely, absolutely hugely more cost-effective to let the people that are not a threat, not a safety threat, not be addressed and taken away and marked out of country. That's 275,000 people in 2025 that were detained unnecessarily.
All right, candidates, we have to stop you right there. Thank you so much. And we have a lot of time for 1-minute closing statements, and going in alphabetical order. We start with Raymond Keller.
Hi, I'm Ray Keeler. I'm running as the Democratic candidate for Congressional District 8. I've been an independent. I am a Democrat. I am running to help use independents and Democratic people. I'm not a public speaker. I'm a software engineer. I can make this work. I've worked as a officer in a national nonprofit for 11,000 people as the government liaison for 3 years. I've worked with government employees at the professional level and at the private level as well, as a volunteer. I can get this done. I know what's going on in Washington, D.C. I was based out of there for all of my conversations.
All right, sir, thank you very much. And now the closing statement from Bernadette Green, Placentia.
Well, as a lifelong truck driver and a small business owner, I am very proud that I've always fought for democratic principles, but I've also always been able to reach across the aisle. And that includes getting the recent Courage candidate endorsement. Because I'm not waiting until I'm elected. We're building a coalition right now of other candidates running in these red races so that when we get to office on day one, we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work. And that's really what folks want. So if you want someone who's union endorsed, supported by officials, and been fighting for this district for years and has always held very firmly to her democratic principles, then you know where to find me.
All
Right
right.
at Green Placentia.
All right,
Thank you.
both.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Thanks to our candidates, and thank you for watching tonight's discussion. Our candidates in conversation, the next one will be tomorrow, May 13th, as we hear from Republican candidates running for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. That's tomorrow, May 13th at 5 p.m. and again at 10 p.m. on Arizona Horizon. And all episodes of Candidates in Conversation are live streamed on YouTube at AZPBS Now and can be viewed as well at azpbs.org. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.